At this time, we'll call the regular meeting of Finance Personnel Committee. This is May 14th, 2024. Amy, roll please.
Alderperson P-Rock.
Here.
Alderperson Gantz.
Here.
Mayor Boyd.
I am here.
Alderperson Kundinger.
Here.
Alderperson Quigley.
Here.
Thank you. Item 2, election of the vice chair of this Finance Personnel Committee. I'll entertain nominations at this time.
Who's
On
it
that-
right now?
I'll nominate John Quigley.
All
I'll
right.
second.
That's the first nomination. Any more nominations before I close it and we vote? I will now close the nominations. We have one nominee on the floor. It's John Quigley. If he wants it, you can right now say, I just want nothing to do with
I would
this.
be more
No,
than
he's
happy to
cheering right now
serve
for
in
it.
that role.
All right, so we have the one nomination. To make it official, we should vote, I'm assuming. That said, all those in favor of John Quigley as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. You're officially vice chair.
Thank you.
Hey, just gotta knock me off here, and the committee's yours.
With the pay bump, right?
Again, congratulations.
Yeah.
Item 3, approval of the minutes of the April 9th, 2024 regular meeting of the Finance Personnel Committee. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by me, second by Alderperson P-Rock. Discussion or comments? Looks like there are none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Finance and Personnel Committee. Anyone in person or virtually have any public comments upon matters not on the agenda? Now's your time. State your name, please. Second time, public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Looking in-house, it's nothing but staff and alderperson. Virtually, anyone out there? Third and final time, any public comment upon matters not on the Finance and Personnel agenda? If so, please state your name. Item 5, Fire Department overtime and LifeQuest billing reports for April 2024.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson Quigley, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Should we comment on this, what direction we're going?
Sure.
Let's comment right now. Larry, you want to take it?
In discussions with the mayor recently, he is, I'm assuming I'm saying this on your behalf.
You
is
are.
recommending, to eliminate bringing the separate fire overtime report and the separate police overtime report to the finance committee. It was added in literally probably close to 2.5, 3 decades ago for very specific reasons. Today, it probably doesn't serve a lot of purpose as a separate report. The finance director is going to be putting together a different type of report that covers the general categories of how the budget's adopted by the council. So like general government, you got the various categories within each one of the programs. So they'd be broken out that way so you can see how things are flowing and see if anything's out of whack in the context of how the budget's adopted by you. And I believe, Pam, you're looking to do that, is it monthly or quarterly, Pam?
Probably quarterly.
Quarterly? And if you wanted it more often, we could work it off if there's something different. But that's what the mayor is proposing, is to go in that direction.
That you can see all departments, not just police and fire,
Yep.
so, as a part of the budget. Is everyone okay with that? And we had talked about it.
Yeah.
Everyone comfortable? And if we want to change it going forward, we'll just bring it up and you guys can talk about it and hash out something else.
Oh, and do you want to just mention, the reason why police is not on
Oh, yeah.
this evening is because the chief is out. The business manager recently retired, and nobody in the department knew how to run the report. So that's why that one's not on this.
But the police department's going very well, though. I mean, it's in good hands. Let's just clarify that.
Out as that example.
Yeah, we're
Right.
definitely being served, so, thanks.
Who's running it?
Anything else? All good? Great synopsis. That said, and this is on the billing reports, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
Is Stanley included in the duty crew or?
Oh, that was a little bit off. Item 6, consideration and possible action to allow surplus vehicles and equipment to be auctioned with proceeds going to the selling department's vehicle maintenance account. Before we do that, who wants to comment on this so we get some clarification here?
You want me to?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So this particular memo was drafted before we had some internal discussions at the staff level. And the final paragraph, I believe in here, if I'm remembering correctly, yeah, so the last sentence of that final paragraph is saying, if this process is approved, sale proceeds would then be placed in the selling department's designated vehicle maintenance account to help offset other vehicle equipment repair, blah, blah, for the fleet. That part should be pulled out. That's not part of the recommendation. When we sell surplus equipment, it goes back to the fund that the surplus or the equipment was purchased from. So if it's general fund, it goes back to the general fund. If it's from a utility, it goes back to the utility. It doesn't go back to the specific program within the fund. So that's how we've always done it. So just to clarify, that's the appropriate way to handle those. So that's pulled out, but the rest of it stays for what they're recommending.
And that was going to be my question. so
Yep,
thank you.
so that would stick with standard practice then. So I'd make a motion to approve, minus us pulling that particular part out. And I think Amy's got that, correct?
Yep.
Okay. We'd need a second.
I'll
then?
second.
All right, motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion or comments?
I just want to be.
Alderperson Quigley.
Sorry, yeah, I want to make sure that what we're voting on, because in the action item, it says consideration and possible action. So the sentence would just stop after the equipment will be auctioned. We're not saying anything about where the proceeds are going, but it'll be past practice?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Other questions or comments? And again, you have clarification, you understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that said, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Item 7, consideration and possible action on City Hall floor data center cooling redundancy, approval of reallocation of ARPA funding.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Discussion, comments? Memo was fairly clear. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay. That said, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, consideration and possible action to hire, Affion Public Recruitment Firm to conduct a city administrator recruitment. I would make a motion to approve, and then we can have Shannon come up if you guys have questions. Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Shannon, why don't you pop on up and maybe just kind of go through it a little bit?
So at last month's council meeting, the council authorized the city to go out and seek proposals from various different recruiting firms across the nation. We actually reached out, and we reached out to 11 different firms, asked them to submit a proposal. We received 6 back and reviewed those proposals. 3 of them we decided to bring in and meet with formally over Zoom, and are recommending Affion. They came forward as pretty much the front runner. We checked references on them. They had a lot of experience doing this type of recruitment. The biggest thing it came down to is not only selecting a reputable firm, but more importantly, looking at the amount of experience that the recruiter specifically has. So the recruiter that we would be working with specifically has about 20 years' experience doing this line of work. So we feel very comfortable that they'd provide a good service for the city.
Thank you. And then added to the packet were the other firms' proposals. Questions or comments? Alderperson Coniger.
How long do you expect the support to be needed?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Like 3 months, 4 months? How long of support is this?
It would probably be about 6 months.
6.
Yes, we're intending tentatively to, if we make an offer to a candidate in October, but they would obviously be able to assist the council through and myself through that process. So, and then we'd likely be looking, and obviously it'd be up to the council, but through tentative talks, likely be with the city administrator retiring mid-December, tentatively looking at having a candidate starting early part of January.
We're not going to plan for any overlap?
Well, that's still up for discussion, and just bigger picture, after, if we do get this company approved, obviously it would go up to council next week. But then the next step would be bringing in this recruitment firm and sitting down with the council and talking about the entire process. So obviously, it's up to the council what they would prefer. And talking with our current city administrator and kind of talking of what's pretty typical for this process is pretty standard to not have an overhire. But certainly if the council would desire to have that, that'd certainly be up, depending on if we can make it work for the candidate. But that's, for the most part, industry standard. Now, do some agencies have that? Yes, but I think there's various reasons why most of the candidates prefer not to have that. But again, we can talk through that. Like I said, the next step would be, after we would hire a recruitment firm, would be to bring them on site. If it does get approved at council next week, we were looking at doing something with the council. We'd probably schedule a separate session with the council and doing something maybe early part of June. So then we'd be reaching out to everybody and doing a doodle poll and finding out when people are available. So that'll be an extensive meeting. So we thought we'd do it outside of a council meeting.
Sounds good.
And we've talked about that, probably looking at the Wednesdays throughout the month of June because we all have meetings and stuff. And that'll come out, like she said, in the next
Soon.
week and a half or so. Sound good? Any other questions anyone has? All right, thank you. That said, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, consideration and possible action on regulation of ATV, UTVs on city streets. Alderperson Carpenter, take your seat. This is yours. So you can give us a little synopsis of what you submitted for us to talk about.
You see in your packet of what I was requesting, I had 3 businesses in the West Side Industrial Park and a resident ask if we could create UTVs being on city streets. And the reason is because we border up with the town of Lawrence. The town of Lawrence allows UTVs on their streets and everything, and so some of these people would like to have access to get into the industrial park, and vice versa. I don't know about residents. It's very, very preliminary, and we'd have to draft up an ordinance and everything else if this was all gonna go on. So I didn't know how anybody felt, but I would like to see maybe, just because you only have that many people, I would like to see maybe a postcard or something get sent out to all the people that are south to Southbridge on any of those streets. And if it was online, just give you a very simple, would you be in favor of UTVs or not? And just see what the response you get from it for the first part of it. You know what I mean? That's where I would like to go, because if you don't get a good response or a lot of negative, I guess I'm not gonna promote it, but I'm not against it. I have a UTV I use up north. I enjoy riding my UTVs on the road up north and everything. So, and the reason I gave the town of Lawrence, I think it's a very good ordinance they have in there. You can't just ride up and down streets for fun. You have to be going someplace. You know what I mean? It's more like a transportation or whatever you wish to use it. And got really good guidelines and rules in here, and can't run it late at night. It's 11 o'clock, you gotta be off the streets. So that is where I'm at. I don't know where you'd want to go any farther or how to go any farther, but that was just, if it should go over to traffic and parking, I don't know. And that was just some of my suggestions here to try to get it going. This is a long process, and I'll reach out to these individuals. It's not going to happen probably this summer. But I would just like to see in the future, because we bordered a community that has it, and we have streets that are right there. I mean, the new subdivision off of French Road, part of it is Town of Lawrence and part of it is ours. We butt up right, drive all the way through there. Well, those people could use the town road if they wanted to, but they can't get to it. And I don't know if they're in favor of it or not, but that's when I'd like to put feelers out.
All right. Okay. Anything else? And you can
No,
stay right
no,
there.
that's it. So
You can
I-
stay right there and be part of the conversation. You're an older person, so, correct? You can just stay there and do the,
Unless you don't allow them to.
kind of back and forth on this one. All right, so we're kind of really in the discussion phase right now, so he brought forward, anything else, Dan? that you
No,
wanted-
that's,
Okay. I know there's some discussions that we had with the police chief, and he's not here, obviously, so I'm not sure if Nate can add in anything as far as the police stance regarding this, if you want to jump in now, or just have you all talk first.
I had the opportunity to talk.
Do you want to?
Oh,
Now we have to open it?
No, but can I make a suggestion?
Sure, Larry, go.
Get a
So,
motion.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, nice try, yeah.
But one of the things that Alderperson Carpenter brought forward was whether or not you wanted to take it to the parking and traffic team to have them give some internal review, I think is what you were suggesting?
Well, yeah,
Oh.
I don't know where it should go, so that was just a thought.
So that particular team includes police, engineering, city attorney, planning department, or development services. I don't know if there's anybody else in that team. Can't remember. I think that's it. Yeah, just those four. So you would get the input from them on
Okay.
what would come back, and if you wanted to get that input and then come back and not just have police, that's fine, or you can just have police. But I just want to suggest that might be an option to consider.
Is that something you would like to consider and just have it go that way and have those eyes on it to give us some,
I would.
That'd be fine.
that'd be fine? I mean, I have some ideas in my head right now of how I feel about all this, but I guess in all fairness,
You're
we should
gonna
at least
buy
maybe
one,
have
right?
some others look at it. What's that?
You're gonna buy one?
Yeah,
Buzz around.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
When I spoke with the chief, and it was very brief one day, he said he didn't want him downtown. I 100% agree with. I'm pushing it, as you see, it's everything south of Southbridge. I didn't even say Southbridge in it. You know what I mean? As to,
Well, I think once the can of worms is open, it's not gonna satisfy anybody if you restrict it to one spot. But
Well,
I think they can talk about
Yeah.
that when they're there.
Yeah, I think the stance from the police, I did have the opportunity to talk with Chief Muraski a little bit about it. And our stance is it's not necessarily a fit for here. And some of the safety concerns and things of the streets and the parking and the flow of traffic that we have that our officers are already dealing with on a daily basis, to now add another vehicle. I understand some of the guidelines, basically just as an ATV owner myself, as far as being 16 on roadways and stuff like that through the DNR. However, it is a different kind of machine that's out there. And we're not necessarily in favor of having it. And we would be also at an all or nothing instead of a restricted. Historically, if we can look at our quiet zone area and stuff like that, and how some of that stuff isn't really practical, and we're going to spend a lot of time on education. If are they 3 feet over the line, or are they 10 feet over the line for where they can ride or not ride? So I think it's going to cause some issues that way. Your point about bringing it to parking and traffic, I think that could be the due diligence of taking a broad look at it, because in that would allow time to look at different policies, different recommendations, and give the over eyesight from multiple different departments that it would be affecting by. As far as street widths and parking and what we have everywhere available in the city, is this really going to work? And what are some of the dangers of it?
Okay. Alderperson P-Rock.
I noticed St. Norbert has quite a few of those, and they're running around on the streets. Is there a special permit they have, or
That's
how
their
does that work?
that's their maintenance department on campus, technically.
It's on the streets and everything?
So a lot of those houses, and they take some of those paths, sometimes they do take a short little note, but even if you see some of the construction work crews that have like the big Kubotas and stuff where they're running equipment to one side, they're kind of, I don't know the exact rulings of it, but they're able to go from one side to another. Because St. Norbert's owns some of those houses that are there that they do the maintenance on, and those are all their maintenance vehicles.
Yeah, and he mentioned the school districts as well. I know
Yep.
Pere does, but usually it's right on the property. If they venture on the street, it's briefly. The security office now for St. Norbert's, that White House across the street from, you know what I'm talking about? Right.
Big green?
So they're actually parked behind there in that parking lot, is where they stage their UTVs, is that what they're? ATVs, whatever they are?
Like a dozen of them.
Yeah, they have a bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think every maintenance crew kind of guy has their own, that's their truck.
I mean, it's a good question, though. I mean,
What is the reason they want to use them?
no different than a motorcycle or anything else. The reason that they have those, and they like it for means of transportation. That's what it is. So I'm not gonna say I'm not against it for it. I just want everybody to think about it, and if the community is in favor of it, I guess, all right. If it's not, it's not. I'm not gonna go either way on it.
I think we go that route then. I'm sorry. Larry?
The other thing I'd suggest is that if you're not in a rush with it, the parking and traffic team can evaluate it, but then we can also, I guess, survey other communities that we know have had it for a while, a year or two or three or whatever, See if we find somebody that's similar to us with business parks and size and stuff and traffic flow, and see what their experience has been as well. Because that'll give us at least an idea, are they running into conflicts, are they having issues?
And my preference would be, and I don't know all you
I
here,
think
would be
Swamico
cities.
has one of those. Swamico has limited streets. I think it's Swamico. Again, little different community. I'm just saying. I mean, Town Lawrence made theirs all, as you can see in their ordinance, but
Alderperson quickly?
I appreciate having the example from Lawrence, and again, as the nearest neighbor. Do we know Ledgeview, do they allow it on their side?
They just passed something that they can do on, I think, residential streets. They can't be on GV, for example. So, higher trafficked, bigger
Yeah, of
speeds.
course.
No. Even though I passed a few of those last year a couple times going to the golf course, and that was quite interesting, to navigate around them. But now I believe they're banned from GV, if I'm saying the right street.
But I think in Ledgeville, you have to wear a cowboy hat to drive them, right?
Oh, really?
In Arizona, they use them as like Ubers.
Yeah,
So you can
no one doubts that there's
drive.
not a purpose for them. It just depends if you want to have them in a town, village, city, or whatever it might be. But I think an eye from that separate detached committee might be a good look if that's where we want to go. Is everyone okay with that if we go that way? It's discussion only, obviously possible action, but I
How would
think-
you limit, like, where they can be and can't be, and how would you control them?
I think that's what the.
I think that's what they're gonna.
That's
I
what
think
we
they're
would
gonna
look
take
at.
a really
My
big look
only
at it.
concern is, I don't know how you could set limits, because it's like you're opening a can of worms.
We would add more signs. Sign everywhere. It would be an education, it would be a sign stuff, but I think with your allowance, parking and traffic, to give us time to evaluate, and talk it over, and that can be part of the survey of other communities of similar size, so that way we're getting a true representation of what it could be like if it is here.
Just parking traffic, or is this-
How many people inquired about this?
I told you 4 individuals, 3 businesses,
Oh.
3 businesses and 1 individual.
Yes.
I'm not
not
going to
very
name the
many.
businesses or anything, but yes.
Well, and we keep going here, but we still need, guidance and at least someone to look at it. I'll make a motion to move this to parking and traffic for
Second.
their look. Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. Since we're gonna do that, I think discussion would close right now, since we're moving it. No, it's
No, you
tabling.
can discuss it.
Anything else you want to discuss before we vote on this then? All right, that said, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you,
your
Alderperson
time.
Carpenter. So happy to see you. Item 10, consideration and possible action on a proposed purchase sale agreement terms for Enterprise Drive, parcel ED 20771. Quason, do you want to just say something ahead of time before we make a motion and or a vote on it?
Sure.
Please, thanks.
So we received communication from Tim Holbrook Builders. They were requesting to purchase a site here on Enterprise Drive. Right now it's parcel ED 2-007-2077-1. And so if you look at the screen up there, you'll see the map there with the subject site there highlighted in blue. So it's right on Enterprise Drive. We have tentatively scheduled the address as 1405 Enterprise Drive. So if you see here, these are some of the renderings for it. So what we're looking at here is roughly 2 6-unit business rental units. They're not storage units, they're business rental units. If you see some in other communities, they start to look like different, I guess, like craftsman shops, creative shops, and things of that nature for businesses to rent and then house their businesses and do operations out of. So in your package, you can see there. So here's an aerial view of it as well, another schematic of it. So what we're looking at here is the site is approximately 1.7331 acres. The zoning is not going to change, and it is still zoned business park BP1. So they're looking at a potential value of their building of roughly around $1.2 million for that to come out as an assessed value of it. So what we're looking at here is just Selling them, we have a list price of $40,000, so that is what we're looking at selling it to them. $40,000 per acre, I should say. So that comes out to roughly about $69,200 that we would be selling it to Tim Hallbrook Builders. And what we're looking for is that they would just follow all of the Pier zoning codes, all of our regulations in our business parks as they design their property with site plan and things of that nature. And so the only thing that we're looking at is potentially doing a deed restriction on the property of saying no storage units allowed, because we don't allow any in the city.
Very good. Anything else?
No, I think that's it for right now.
All
But if you
right.
guys have any additional questions, I'm here to answer.
And again, he is emphasizing about the storage units, so they have to have the bathroom in there and they have to be a business.
Correct.
Which there are a couple out there right now.
Yeah. Let's see, if you see that site there, if you look at the air photo there, directly to the south of there, they're similar to that. Those are detached, ones that are single. But these will be like in a row looking, just like, almost looking like a townhome almost. So, but that is, they will be similar to that. Yes, they will have a half bath in them and also like a oversized overhead door as well.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, we do hear there's a lot of demand for that, but
Yeah, odd item.
it is what it is. Questions or comments? I'd make a motion to approve the purchase sale agreement terms.
I'll
Second.
second.
Motion by me, seconded by
I heard Amy.
Alderperson Conager. Additional discussion and/or comments? All right, seeing there is none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Item 11, consideration and possible action to award a contract for environmental consulting services with Stantec. Sorry. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Conager. Discussion or comments? All right, seeing there are none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration and possible action on purchase of Tyler Technologies Employee Access Module.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Alderperson P-Rock, seconded by Alderperson Quigley. Pam is here if you have any questions regarding this module. Anyone have anything?
Nope.
No, y'all pretty good with that?
Sounds like a good module.
You're all good readers? That said, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration item 13 and possible action regarding proposed resolution to extend the time period allowed to recognize reimbursable grant revenues after the end of the fiscal period. Pam, you want to just briefly just kind of talk about this one? You're here.
I'm here. Let me talk. All right. It's okay if you don't. So this came up during our recent audit. It was brought up that they're really cracking down on what you can consider to be a revenue in the prior year. And a lot of times what we see is a lot of grants are reimbursable grants. So the grant runs through the end of the year. You run all your calculations, determine what you want to get reimbursement for, submit that in January, and that takes a while to get that money. So if we don't have that money within the first 60 days of that next year, we can't actually count it as revenue for that prior year where all the expenses were. So this resolution would just allow us to extend that from 60 days to 120.
Very good. Sounds good. Questions or comments or motion? I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Conager. Any discussion or comments?
Just a general question, how have you navigated this without the extension?
I didn't run into this question when I was in Green Bay. Now, did we get reimbursements after the fact? I'm sure we did. So I don't know if this is more of like the auditors mentioned, they're just really cracking down on making sure they're checking those.
Okay.
So they're actually asking for receipts from deposits that we've had where we booked up that receivable at the end of the year. They're like, well, can you show me where you received this? Well, they're coming in April. I should have a receipt to show them from January or February. So there were items that we had to just push back. Now, we're still going to get the money. It just doesn't make our financials look quite as accurate or as good at the end of that fiscal year. So.
All good? Great. Any additional questions or comments? And again, I forgot, we have a motion in a second or no? That said, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 14, consideration and possible action on the City of De Pere investment and cash detail, March of 2024. I'll make a motion to accept and place on file.
I'll second.
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson Gantz. Anyone have any questions on cash detail for March of 2024? Just keep us in business. Thank
Pam's
you.
doing a great job.
Yep. That said, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 15, does anyone have a future agenda item? All right. I will then go to item 16 and make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by me, seconded by Alderperson P-Rock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're officially adjourned, folks.